Hi, brother teacher here. Yesterday I had an episode take place when I left my place of business. Um, I walked out the door, and as I hit the corner, I was talking to a young lady, and she was sitting down, and there was another guy sitting about 3 feet from her. He apparently had been drinking. I saw a can of beer sitting beside him, and he looked as though he had been drinking. And there was a group of people, a young lady and her children, walking past at a bus stop that they were seeking out, I should say. Anyway, they were about to cross the street. And so while I was talking to the young lady that I initially mentioned, this guy said, "Why don't you move out of the way so that I can see my grandchildren?" And I didn't move. And I said something to the effect that, "I know you're not talking to me," because he repeated it. I said, "Move out of the way so I can see my grandchildren." Now, mind you, the young lady that was crossing the street with her 2 or 3 small children, she didn't know the man. But as I forestated, there was beer there and he appeared to have been drinking. But anyway, I said, "I know you're not talking to me," was my response. The second time he said, "What you say?" And the reason I responded off the cuff like I did was because I'm talking to another young lady there before the other people even came on the scene, and he's directing me to move from in front of his view, and all he has to do is get up and do what he had to do, or walk around me. But again, as I said, the young lady was in a hurry to cross the street because she was annoyed by the guy. He was trying to talk to her. Those were not his grandchildren. He didn't know them, period. So, as I'm continuing to try to have a conversation with the lady there, another guy walked up that I know who worked next door to my business. We began to speak, and he's still talking to me. And the other gentleman that was my friend standing there is looking at him like he has a problem. But anyway, the guy still focused on me, and he stood up, and I said, "Excuse me, this is a public street. I don't have to move anywhere. If you want to see them, you just have to walk around." And he said, "Who you talking to?" He just kept making statements like this. So I felt a certain way because he had stood up and he took about a step towards me, and my sleeping tiger awakened, and he sat up inside. And my students knows what this means. You see, because of my passive nature, I'm not a bully type. I'm that type of individual that's quiet, outspoken when necessary, but for the most part, I'm peaceful. I don't bother anyone. And that tiger that's laying down inside me is a metaphor for my potential of possibly becoming aggressive. So when the tiger sits up, I am on alert. So, long story short, I'll try, is that this guy standing there and he was determined. So I told my friend that was standing there, "I'll talk to you later, see you tomorrow." And so I shook his hand and I left the situation. How I felt immediately, first of all, I was nervous. It's been a while, quite a while since I've encountered verbal aggression like that, where someone seemed to have intended to put their hands on me or strike me. I felt that then. But within, I also felt that if this goes from any point of conversation or brief conversation, as it were, and him just challenging me for the most part, I'm going to hurt him. and I'm going to drop the kitchen sink on him, if you know what I mean. And I was nervous. Not nervous as to what he would do to me, but what I would do. So my inner self said, walk away. So I walked across the street to the gas station, and as I walked in, guess who I run into? One of my students. And I told him what happened. He said, are you serious? He said, what's going on? I said, he's threatening to fight with me. I did not know that this guy had crossed the street walking behind me. Anyway, as I was entering the door and talking to my student, who came to see me, as a matter of fact, that he didn't see me at my business, and he figured I would be there. So the guy walks in the store, and as I was talking to my student, he's still saying, hey, what the F are you talking about? And my student turned around and said, hey, you are not going to talk to my teacher like that. And then so I was dismissed from the conversation for a moment, and then that guy said something to him, and he said, listen, this is my teacher. You are not going to talk to him like that. You need to take that outside. And then the guy started getting a little antsy and supposedly aggressive with him. But my student ran him to business verbally, and eventually got outside with the guy, and he told him that it could be more than just words. I'm proud of him because he handled it very well, and he handled it the way that I handled it, by leaving the situation initially. But the guy pursued me, and I didn't know it at first. But my student handled it in a similar way, a little bit more verbally aggressive to the guy, and then he wanted to shake the guy and say, you have a nice evening, and so forth. And I love that because he did it the way that I taught him to do it. And I'm glad that he dealt with that situation, as opposed to me staying where I was and me having to deal with something that wasn't even important. So everybody went home. I was safe. The student was safe. He called to check on me, and I just want to say again, I'm very proud of him for carrying himself in such a professional way. He was aggressive, passive aggressive, just enough to let the guy know, you're not going to get that off today. And what's funny is that there were a couple people who worked in the same business, and also who customers were coming in the store who knew me, and I know they was about to give him the business because of the reputation and respect that I have in the community. So I'm happy. I'm happy that it didn't go any further than that. That was it. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. I don't want to be physical with anyone if I don't have to. If it's a matter of protecting myself, if I absolutely positively have to, and that's what I teach my students. That's the only time that it warrants physical confrontation and or violence. It's that simple. But I'll say this, and this is not boasting. It's not bragging. That guy is fortunate that he ran into my student and that I walked away initially, because it would have been a totally different situation had he attempted to put his hands on me. That was it. So this is to encourage all of you out there, if you can avoid violence and confrontations like that, please do at all costs. Life is short. It's a very, very chaotic, difficult world that we're in today. Let's not make it worse by participating if we don't have to. So this is Brother Teacher. If you've had a similar situation, let me know your story, your brief story, if you will, in the comment section below. Thank you for watching again, and so long.